It does to
Sure
me.
does.
It matters to me, and we're live.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome into another edition of Chatted Up Sports. Follow us all over social media at Chatted Up Sports. Right off the top, we did it. Right off the top, we did it. It's nice to get that out there. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts as well. Google, I don't even know if Google does podcasts anymore. Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify as well. Make sure you give us a follow and 5 stars, not the less. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell their family, whatever it may be, cousins, sisters, mothers, all those good things. What a chaotic weekend of college football. Before we get into that, I'm Greg, that's Chase, and that is Joseph as well. We're all here with you, Miggy and GT. We miss you guys. I know y'all are busy, so we'll catch you on in future pods. And we are here at the UTC indoor facility. Thank you to UTC and the Chattanooga Mock. Should we give them 3 claps on time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having us here today. In the softball offices. It's a great little setup here. We got Monday Night Football cooking, and we got to talk a lot about our core 4 games and a lot about the craziness, boys, that had happened in college football this weekend.
Absolute
and
madness.
I know Alabama's probably the shocker after they beat your Georgia Bulldogs, Joseph, and losing to Vanderbilt, but I think we have to start with the Tennessee Volunteers, them dropping their first game of the year. And, you know, Joseph, when we talked about this on Thursday, Thursday, it was Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
You know, I think the consensus was, hey, we're all on Tennessee, but this wasn't a game that they were going to run away with. This wasn't a game that they were going to blow out Arkansas. It was in Fayetteville. It was a difficult environment, SEC matchup. You knew Sam Pittman's squad was going to come ready to play. They weren't going to get blown out. That defense was ferocious all evening long, blowing up the Tennessee offensive line, which, frankly, I'm a little disappointed in that they haven't been better. And I think there's some issues with Tennessee. I'm not ready to push the panic button. But Chase, I want to start with you in terms of just your overall thoughts in this game. And I think the big question for me is what's going on with this offense? Because they haven't really opened it up from a passing perspective. We've seen them run the ball effectively, but we haven't seen Nico go out there and deliver a 300-plus yard game with 4 or 5 touchdowns like we've seen some of these other guys, especially that are in the Heisman kind of race.
Yeah, especially for him. You're looking at a game where it felt a little trap gamey because it's in Fayetteville, night game. They're going to be ready to roll. But even for Tennessee, and I understand what Florida is right now, but, dude, it's still the Florida game. It matters so much. It's the team. You can't get over the hump.
Big win for the Florida Gators.
Big win for Florida Gators.
Over your Gus Bus squad.
I know. I'm fading hard between USC and the Gus Bus. I felt like I knew ball for 3 weeks, and now here we are. Any hooser. There is a path for Tennessee where it's like, okay, they go out, they take over, they dominate in Fayetteville. You make a statement. You are probably moving up to 2 this week. It's going to look really nice.
Yeah.
But they got caught up. And as you mentioned, they could not throw the football down the field. And granted, Thornton goes out, Brew goes out, Squirrel goes out. You're like, oh, boy, here we go. And it just felt like an absolute snooze fest of a game for all half. Proud of the defense for stepping up in a lot of ways. Now, they got gashed and they got lucky a couple times with the drop pass in the end zone. It looked like it got ugly pretty early. But it just never came into fruition for Tennessee to figure out a way. And then Nico pulls a Joe Milton and runs out of bounds. And it's just like, oh, man. I just can't believe that they fell for the trap game, especially in that environment. You're like, they're going to get up in Fayetteville. Like, this is going to be a fun day. But looking forward to your next 2 or 3 weeks, you got, and it doesn't look right. And I don't understand the Heupel game plan, the run, the screen, and then you do nothing. And it's just like, man, you got to find a way to get this guy going. I don't know what that plan is.
They seem very – it's like there's no variety in what Josh Heupel's doing from an offensive standpoint. It's those like wide receiver screens, far on the outside. We're going to spread you out, but we're not going to throw it deep. We'll take maybe 1 or 2 shots. We're trying to run the ball with Dylan Sampson. And, you know, it doesn't feel very inventive. And it's frustrating as a Tennessee fan because we've really lauded of this guy about his offensive prowess and what he brings to the game and his up tempo. And then you look at the final drive where the clock was incredibly mismanaged of, you had 109 to go and you run 3 plays and you burn 50 some odd seconds. You got 17 seconds to go. And it's like, all right, now we got like 2 plays from like the 21-yard line or the 19-yard line to get it into the end zone. And I don't know. I'm not going to panic, like I said earlier, about this. It just seems sort of like a blip on the radar, kind of like you said, Chase. But it's getting to the point, and I kind of want to let you talk about this, Joseph, here for a second. But it's getting to the point where, as a Tennessee fan, it's like, what is this offense? What is the issue with the offense, Joseph? Is it that maybe the coaches see something in Nico and they're like, we don't know if we can really let him open it up enough. We don't trust him enough. Is it the offensive line's just really bad and we don't trust that they're going to be able to protect Nico long enough to do some of the things that we want to do from a passing perspective? Is it the wide receivers are just not getting separation, not getting open? What are you seeing when you watch Tennessee play, Joseph?
It seems a little bit like Heupel's trying to balance between wanting, to run his normal offense and do the things that he wants to do, and which can be demanding, but also at the same time, Nico's only started 6 games. Mm-hmm. Like, I know his ceiling is much higher than Joe Milton's and is even probably higher than Hendon's, as good as Hendon was. But you got to think about the time that when Hendon came in, he had played a lot of ball. He had been at Virginia Tech. He'd been in systems. He probably had a lot more football under his belt than Nico does. So you kind of have to harbor this balance of getting Nico out there and wanting him to take full reign of the offense while also not completely destroying his confidence as a young quarterback and letting him go out and be self-destructive, because that could be more problematic down the road for him. I think looking at this from if I was a Tennessee fan perspective, I would feel better about the state that Tennessee's in with Josh to figure out the offense, as opposed to if the scenario was flipped. Like, if Nico was going out there and balling and you were putting up 40 and you had lost in a shootout, like 45-40, it's like, I would be a little bit more afraid if the defense was the ones having the issues. Okay. Because Josh, he's done this. Mm-hmm. He's figured out the offense. He'll get it figured out again. And also, this is Nico's only second true SEC road game.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I know you go to Oklahoma. Excuse me. You go to Oklahoma, but midway through that game, you kind of figure out Oklahoma can't really move the ball. So, excuse me. Oklahoma can't really move the ball. So you don't really have to. Nico just kind of has to manage the game, go out there and not necessarily lose it instead of going out there and win it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you've been drug out into the deep end and it's Arkansas and it's, late at night and it's like, oh, Nico, you got to go out there and win this game, man. And it's like, I think Nico could have benefited from maybe going out there when you've established your point in the Oklahoma game that we can win this game on defense, kind of let Nico go out there and sling it a little recklessly, make those mistakes. Then in a game that you're fairly confident you're going to win versus now in a game where it's like, oh crap, we're down. Like, we are now losing. So I think that's something that, again, I would be okay. I mean, it sucks to lose. Always it sucks to lose. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things that, and I think it was a great point that Saban made on game day a few weeks ago, where sometimes you escape in these games and you don't learn as much as if you would have actually taken the loss. It doesn't feel the same. So you kind of like, yeah, we played horribly, but we got out of there.
Yeah.
We got out of there. So now it's like, you hit the reset button. You're like, okay, we have some things to address. We know what we can work on. And it's the 12-team playoff, man. Losses from a fan standpoint and from an energy and passion, they feel the same. It sucks to lose. But from a postseason goal aspiration of your program, it's an affordable loss, I could say. Okay. I mean, it certainly looks better than a certain team that
would it be,
went to a certain part of Tennessee.
Well, would it be more affordable if it was, against Alabama or a Georgia? Like, is this really enough? I get it what you're saying about the playoffs, but like, this is not a game that like you were looking at the schedule and thinking Tennessee, if they lose this game, that's not the worst thing in the world. It feels like now they have to win one of those 2 games at least against Georgia or Alabama.
Yeah. I think you had to win one of them regardless.
You had to win, but you almost have to win both.
You think you have to win both now?
Because you still got the Texas situation,
Yeah.
Now you're battling out against Texas, Alabama, and Georgia, where if you are in the battle, you have to hope one of them now. Going into the nighttime, you knew like they had already one loss. You could be the undefeated team going in along with Texas. It moves you up the ranking. And perception matters. Perception is going to matter if you are the what am I thinking of? The bid to get in. It's not going to be the SEC champion. Like if you're out of the SEC championship,
the at large,
an
at large.
If you are the at large, then you are in a perception battle. And the loss at Arkansas is not a good perception.
No,
I think they're a decent team. Don't get me wrong. They beat us. They got us. But from a standpoint, if it's Georgia or Alabama and then Arkansas, that doesn't look great. That doesn't look great. And we almost have to win one of those because I will say, I think everybody's going to go in with one loss. It's just who's your one loss going to be against?
Yeah.
Who's your two losses going to be against?
Yeah, I think that's really gonna matter. And especially with Alabama and Georgia each having a loss now, it's like, okay, we feel like we really missed an opportunity against an Arkansas team on the road who's not the upper. They're a good team, like you said, good solid group, but they're not.
Could have been 5-0.
They're not one of the elite, SEC teams at this point. And then you look at, you're talking about Texas, and I know we've kind of talked about their schedule before. They've got Oklahoma coming up this week. They do have Georgia still on the docket, and they have some tough games. It's funny to think going to Vanderbilt might
going
be
to Vanderbilt.
Watch out, baby.
Watch out. Yeah,
Pavia.
go Pavia and the boys, baby.
Yeah, they got to go to Fayetteville. They got to go to Arkansas, and they got to go to A&M, who's hot right now. So, man, this SEC is just like a gauntlet, and I love that they've expanded it to Oklahoma and Texas now because it just feels like this is kind of what our pod is tonight. The live pod is like, it's just chaos.
It's just absolutely
chaos in the SEC. Like, and
Every
I hope
week.
Texas gets knocked off somewhere because then that would create even more chaos. If they just run away with it, beat everybody, and it's like, oh, this isn't very fun. But Georgia lost, Alabama lost, Tennessee's lost now, and those were your top, 3-4 schools that you're thinking about. But yeah, it's not great. But it's Florida week this week, and
Florida Hate Week, baby. We're back.
Florida Hate Week. You got to go out there and beat Billy. I'm sorry, Billy, but you got to go out there and beat Billy. And you got him at home, correct? We're at home or we're in the swamp?
You're
We're
at home.
Okay,
You're at home.
we're at home.
Young Malcolm will be going.
He will be there.
Yeah.
He will be there in live and living color. It's another night game. A lot of night games for Tennessee.
They are loving it.
Yeah. And you go on the road for these last two games, but now you've got a nice stretch of like 4 straight home games before you have to go to Georgia between the hedges, and then you're home against UTEP at the end of the year, and then you have to go to the powerhouse that is the Commodores and Clark Lee.
They are now. Are they the team to beat now?
Shut the doors. Shut up.
No,
Georgia State already beat them.
They
You
did.
see Georgia State tweet about that?
I mean, if we're going down the chain, man, I mean, Vandy beat Bama, Bama beat Georgia, Georgia State beat Vandy, Georgia Southern beat Georgia State. So, like, I guess Georgia Southern's just the best team in the nation.
Where are you at,
like,
people?
I mean,
where are you at?
But where's the respect, man? Where's the respect for the boys in Statesboro? Like, just no love. No love.
Zero.
No love.
I can't believe that.
But I did want to, when you spoke about Texas, there's something that, speaking of the power of the SEC, looking at Texas's schedule early on, it kind of felt like, well, you got Michigan, and you got Georgia, and we don't really know A&M first-year head coach. We don't really know what they're going to be. So you really got like what boils down to probably a one-game season, because I know people were on the fence about Michigan. They lost so much, but to this point now, it's like, okay, that Texas schedule's kind of ramped up a little bit. Arkansas is a better team.
Yeah.
Texas A&M's started to come on. I don't know what secret sauce. I don't know what bottle Michael Jordan handed to Connor Wegman before that game played.
Hey,
but,
we were talking a lot about him on Thursday. You were like, oh, I can't believe they're going to go back to Connor Wegman.
Let me just
the nation,
Connor, my bad, dog. I was not familiar with your game. I mean, that man, whatever happened to him in the 3 weeks that he was not playing was just generational, maybe.
Give him a noon game.
I mean,
give him a noon game.
Put him on the noon slate and let that man spin it.
Because you would have never have thought going in, and there was whispers going into the week like, hey, you could start. Like, what are you thinking? And at that point, you're like, okay, they're going to split reps, or you don't want to do the whole, you lose the thing to injury, you lose your job to injury. That never wants to be the narrative for a program. But you're like, well, in this case, you probably should. But whatever happened to that guy, it worked.
I mean,
because I had no belief in this team.
No. I mean, I had belief in them to a certain extent with Marcel Reed. I was like, oh, you got your guy.
True.
That was him. And he wasn't put it together in practice better than Connor, so that's why he wasn't starting. But he comes out and he's got that game edge where he's like, oh, okay, this is live. All right, I'm ready. Some dudes aren't like that. Some guys aren't ready for the moment. They look great in practice. They come out and they just fumble all over themselves in the game. Marcel Reed was not one of those dudes. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And then Connor Wegman was just like, no, man, that's my job. That's my job. I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. And we're going to crush Missouri. And we're going to make our way to a 5-1 record. And we're going to have the best record in the SEC right now.
How did you guys pick Missouri?
Like, dude, listen, okay.
I feel like you could see that from a mile away. I was surprised y'all picked Missouri.
Man. And it was one of those things,
surprised.
like, I don't know. I did the same thing with Missouri that I did very early in the year. All spring, I was like, ain't no way A&M beats Notre Dame. No way. And then that night rolled around, and I was like, it's at Kyle Field. And the midnight yell got my juices flowing a little bit, and I bought into the hype, and I was like, I did the same thing with Missouri, man. I was like, they look bad, but it's about time. They put it together. Luther Burden's one of the best players on the field. Brady Cook's they had 2 chances in that game. And when I'll say it was a missed pass interference call and then the called back touchdown. Once that happened, I think ultimately they would have won the game? No, but they had a chance to at least make that game more competitive. And once they didn't, Texas A&M was just like, yeah, we're just going to RKO. Good night.
Brady Cook, 13 of 31 passing.
Yikes. Dude. That was somebody
with Luther Burden.
Top 5.
And Theo Weiss
ain't
ain't bad either, man.
No.
Like,
I mean, give a lot of credit to Texas A&M. Like, they did a great job on Burden, even though he beat him a bunch, 7 for 82, but he didn't kill him. They didn't allow him to go off for 150 and a couple of scores. They were able to hold him down. Weiss did get into the end zone, but a couple of big plays there. But other than that, I mean, they've just been leaning on Le'Veon Moss. Texas A&M.
Yeah.
I know Wegman didn't throw any touchdowns in this game, but he was more effective throwing the football. And I heard, what's their head coach's name?
Mike Elko.
Mike Elko talking about it. I was reading something this morning talking about how he just gives the offense more of a dynamic feel than Marcel Reese does because he can do things. He can open up stuff in terms of a passing perspective. When you had Marcel Reese in there, it was a very run-heavy scheme. He's not somebody who's going to beat you downfield. And I think that's why they had trust in Wegman to go back to him because he felt like that gives us a better chance to really open things up from a passing perspective. He didn't throw a touchdown in this game, but didn't turn the football over. 275 yards.
But he had good throws.
He did. He made really good throws. Yeah, he spun it well. He just didn't get in the end zone. He didn't really need to.
Dude. Yeah, sometimes that's just like, I think that goes undervalued.
Yes,
it's just not turning the football over.
And Chase knows about that as a Will Levis guy.
Yeah, big Will Levis guy.
I mean, there's a team on the Plains that would pay to not have somebody turn the ball over. So,
dude, I'll say this. I really thought going into the game, when I heard Wegman was going to start, or had the notion, I don't think they really announced it till like close to game time, but it started to feel like, all right, you're hearing too many whispers, where there's smoke, there's fire type deal. And I'm like, Cook is a better quarterback in my mind going into the game. Do not know like how drastic that difference was going to be. But then I watched this game and I'm like, wow, he's doing what I thought Cook could do. Yeah. But then this was a very similar feeling for me as the Arizona-Kansas State game. And why I say that is I'm like, they have the best player on the field, Luther Burden, and a good quarterback. And that's kind of how I felt about Arizona. But then you realize there's a whole other team besides those guys.
Yep.
And that front, it's this, I mean, almost like the same exact thought to me was A&M's front wax them, dude. Wax them.
Took them to the woodshed.
And that's exactly how I felt Kansas State did to Arizona. You're like, oh, you start watching the game, you're like, nope. It didn't take long. It really didn't for me. I was like, watching that first quarter, I was like, nope, no chance. And that's how I felt in that Arizona game. I was like, Fafita was just running around everywhere, just like trying to survive. And I was like, it wasn't as bad as that game, but there were moments where I was like, no way are they going to make it this whole game and not get killed.
Yeah.
And it looked like it. Just couldn't find it. Couldn't spin it. I don't know what they're going to do.
And I think it's another thing that it shows you how mismanaged Texas A&M was as a program, because they are, I believe, fourth in blue chip ratio at 79%.
Wow.
So they've got talent. They've got the dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
they have
just
for 10 years.
yeah, they've had the dudes. They just haven't put it together, and now they've got a guy that's going to reestablish a culture and going to make them play harder and put them in the right position. And Texas A&M, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, that's what these guys were supposed to look like coming out of high school. These 4 and 5 stars.
Yeah.
I get it now. Okay, that's what Jimbo was supposed to do,
Yes.
and he didn't.
Shout out to Mike Elko. Make
Oh,
it work.
yeah.
First year guy.
Did not think it was going to happen this early.
No.
No. I was listening to Pate today, and he was talking about it's wild, too, for them was you have this program that is so well-funded. He's like, you walk around that town,
Oh, yeah.
and all the 100 millionaires and billionaires that are around this program, it is special. It is special because you have the funding, you have the backing, you've had the recruits. Now you just got to find the right guy. And they're pretty pumped they might have found the right guy.
They thought that was going to be Jimbo, but
yeah,
apparently
and
not.
wouldn't we all? I mean, if you're
Yeah.
talking about the talent and you got a natty behind you, and are you going to think Duke's head coach is going to be? But it goes to show, like
okay.
Riley Leonard, he didn't bring him with him for a reason. So
Mhm.
I got to give it to Wegman.
And it's funny because he lost to Leonard
Yeah.
in the first game of the year.
and an ugly game. That was the most atrocious game too. That was another one I was like, pass.
Just-
Rank matchup, they got us.
It's like, yeah, it's great defense. It's like,
Yeah.
well, it's also the first game of the year, so offense is going to look a little sloppy.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
And it
true.
did.
So.
Vanderbilt's offense didn't look sloppy, boys.
It sure didn't. It
Boys.
sure didn't.
Alabama could not stop them.
I love Diego Pavia. He might be one of my favorite quarterbacks next to Cam Ward.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean the king of Alabama?
Yeah.
That man owns the state of Alabama.
Got him in New Mexico State.
Got him in New Mexico State. Went into Auburn. Won. Got him at Vandy.
Wow.
Brought Bama to Nashville and
Let's go.
burned down the streets of Nashville. They absolutely paraded the uprights through the streets.
I
Boys,
love it.
that is not a short
That's
walk.
2 miles.
That is
Yeah.
not a short walk.
Oh yeah,
Like-
they had to be committed to it.
That
How
is
far-
dedication.
How far is it to the Tennessee River?
It's
very close.
It's
right?
probably like within
Knoxville,
15,
like,
20 minute
Neyland,
walk.
Neyland.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
right there.
Yeah, you hop out on.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
right
you're-
there. The
yeah.
stadium's right on the water. Like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's
Damn, they had to be committed
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
to the Cumberland River. I mean,
Yeah.
they walked that thing all the way down
But
there.
as mentioned, going down through Pack Broadway.
Yeah. You saw like they literally took one side of the street up. There was police out there escorting them. Like, that is a huge deal. Vanderbilt has never in their program history beaten a team that was ranked inside the top 5. Nevertheless, number 1 overall. 0-60. Now 1-60.
One, baby.
They
Just
got the
need
one, baby.
And it was Alabama. And look, if it could have been anybody, do you think they'd rather have beaten Alabama as a number 1 team or a top 5 team or Tennessee?
Bama.
Bama.
I would say Bama.
Bama.
It's like
Yes.
it's just one of those things like you've gotten Tennessee a couple times. Doesn't matter if we were the worst program ever at the time. But you still got them. So you got that
I just didn't
moment.
know if like the in-state rivalry thing was.
Yeah, you got that moment. But I'll say this. I got one thing to say.
Say it.
Theo Vaughn is an absolute menace to the Alabama society. An absolute menace, Theo. You have dumped Gatorade on 2 separate coaches, upsetting Alabama.
Love it.
What a run. What an absolute run.
Wow.
Can we just get him
What
at
a
every
life,
single
man.
Alabama game that they play?
If I am somebody on the opposing team, especially in the state of Alabama, I'm making sure Theo is well paid somewhere across the country. If it's in the Southeast, I want Theo to be playing in Washington State. I want him in Tacoma. I want him in Seattle.
Put him in
Hell, I
another
want him in
country.
Anchorage, Alaska. I
Far
want him
away.
as far away from my program as possible. If I'm like, smells like an upset day.
Uh-huh.
You
Still
know,
on the
there's-
other side, though?
like my shout out to my boy Drew. He's my GA, and he was a huge Vandy fan.
Wow.
And he looks at me, he goes, "Today's the day, boys." You know, kind of gives me that look, and I'm like,
Sure.
"Sure, Drew.
Yeah, whatever you
Sure.
say, Drew.
You see that game last week?
Yeah.
No. This guy got it. Happiest man. And I will say I felt a little bad, but he was like, I really wanted to go to this game. I was like, you can go, man. You know, just like
Oh,
hop out after the volleyball game and head down. And he was like, nah, I'm just going to be here for you. Good trooper. Didn't wind up going to Nashville.
Wow.
I felt terrible. But he was like, I'll be honest, didn't really want to have a ton of money to spend. Probably wouldn't have been the greatest thing in the world, but because I was like, I would have stayed out on Broadway forever.
I was gonna say, but a win like that is worth it.
Worth
I think
every
so.
penny
Gotta be
you got
worth
in that bank
every
account.
single
Yeah,
penny to celebrate a win like that and have the ability to rush the field. I know they got fined $100,000 for doing that.
Oh, dude, it was
But-
worth every penny.
Worth every penny.
Vanderbilt's also listen. Vanderbilt's
they're
not
pretty
hurting
well
for
off.
money,
They're
dog.
pretty well off.
Like
Speaking
that is
of
not
that,
exactly an affordable education.
I do have a Money Monday moment here. There's a little triple M for you. How much do you think that fine, along with this win, I was like thinking about it. I was like, somebody's going to match. Like, this is one of those staple program wins forever, obviously. Beating Bama on your home turf. It's like, we got guys that can finally do it. We've got another coach. We don't want to lose. I can't wait to watch how much money pours into Vanderbilt athletics in the next couple months.
Yeah.
Lifetime contract, build the statue, Clark Lee.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you lost. Who before? You lost up in Penn State.
James Franklin.
James Franklin.
Yeah.
You lost James Franklin.
I think he was the
Hurt.
last coach to get to 6 wins. I
Yep.
think he was the only coach to get to 6 wins. And
Was he the coach when Rodgers was the quarterback?
He
I
would have been probably.
I think so. I think he
Yeah.
was the coach. Let me
because he got
double
Tennessee
check.
twice, and he got him to a. Did he get them to a 9-win season?
I don't think he got 9 wins. I think he tapped out at 6, but
Okay.
6 at Vanderbilt.
Six is
is
incredible, especially
laying
that
you the
home.
Penn State job. So
Yeah,
I've
and
always liked Clark Lee.
Clark is a good coach.
And he was it's his alma mater. He went to Vanderbilt.
Yeah,
So that means more to him, obviously. And you could just see it sort of building. It was a slower build than what Josh Heupel has done at
Yep.
Tennessee. But for that Vanderbilt program and where they've come from, it's been pretty outstanding because they've had, some decent wins here and there, over the last couple of years. And it's like, okay, all right, they won a couple SEC games. I think they beat Florida last year or 2 years ago or whenever it was. And they played some other teams tough. So it's been fun to sort of watch this Vanderbilt program. And I know Tennessee fans probably not going to like me to hear me say that, but it's been fun to see this team sort of build up. Now, as long as they don't beat Tennessee, I'm happy with it. Beat Alabama, if you want to beat Texas, go ahead, beat Texas. That would be fantastic. Don't beat Georgia because I don't want to see Joseph super upset. He already lost to Alabama. But
I'd be. Dude, it's Vandy, man. I can't.
But it's pretty outstanding what they've been able to do. Like getting Pavia in there was electric. Like they've lost some games they probably shouldn't have lost already this year.
Yep.
But
Definitely
getting that win against Alabama, I mean, you forget about all those other ones. Like that's like a season-making win. Now I know they're not going to lose out the rest of the year, but that's like a season-making win.
Well, I mean, all of a sudden it's like you got Kentucky coming up, and it's like if you're a Kentucky fan, you're like, are we going to lose to Vanderbilt?
Are we going to lose?
We very well could because the way they play offense, man, it's not like playing anybody else. It's not like going out there and playing Ole Miss where your defense can play a regular defense and just bully Ole Miss. It's like Diego Pavia and them. You're basically running as a fan of a team who for years played the most annoying offense to watch in the triple option. It felt like that. Watching Alabama, I was like, oh, I've been to this game where you have a massive talent advantage and it doesn't matter because they're gap sound and they're just going to, oh, and there's 4 yards and there's 5 yards and oh, you didn't see this pass coming, there's a first down. Like watching Alabama, when you play a team like that, you have to be even more disciplined than you are in any other game. You have to be disciplined. And they didn't look prepared.
Nope.
They didn't look like they expected. They expected to roll their helmet out there. We're Alabama. We're going to win this game.
Yeah. And look, they hadn't beaten Alabama in 40 years, boys.
That's crazy.
40 years.
Hadn't
Had
beaten
a
Alabama home in even longer.
23-game losing streak against them.
Those
Absolutely
are
insane.
wild.
84 was when they beat
Yeah.
Bama. And
Yeah.
then I think 76 was the last time they beat them in Nashville or at home. I don't know.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So,
And they never trailed in this game.
No.
Never
No.
trailed.
No.
They beat Bama.
Yeah.
This was
Bama
not a
did not
fluke.
lose this one. Yeah,
Yep.
this was
It was
they
just
could not stop.
like you said,
Vanderbilt.
Joseph. It was sort of like a sloppy game. Like
They
they turned the ball over a couple of times, did Milrow, and
Mm-hmm.
they were able to score 13 points off the turnover. I remember Pavia went for it on 4th and 1, and he was looking for a quick throw. It wasn't there. He says, all right, I'm going to just load it up and let it fly. And
Yep.
I thought when I watched that pass go up, I was like, man, he overthrew him. He missed him. And then all of a sudden, the wide receiver was just able to catch it, stretch his arms out and make a play. And those are the type of plays that you need to have made when you're going to upset a team like Alabama. And you also need a huge time of possession edge.
Crazy.
42 minutes. They had the ball for over 42 minutes in that game. Alabama had it for nearly 18. That's insane. They just, as you said, Chase, they beat Alabama. They beat the brakes off Alabama.
Yeah, and like to add to that time of possession thought too, I don't remember, somebody tweeted out, just like thinking about how many times they just keep kind of small little stabs of breaking your heart of they were 16 of 21 on third down. Or sorry, 12 of 18.
Yeah, 12 of 18.
12 of 18 on third down, just beating you. And you're like, good gosh, can we not get a stop on this 6 foot, 200-pound quarterback? We can't get this guy. And then it has the little flashbacks of, as they've mentioned before, it's Johnny Manziel without the drinking. That's what you get in Diego Pavia. And so it's just like we have this playmaker, this guy that just is a gamer, to add the fun tag to him. But Pavia just kept making plays, and they just could not stop them. And that fourth quarter domination, they ran that little outside edge run, and it's like, good luck, stop us.
Yeah.
And they could not do it.
Hadn't stopped us all day. They had at one point, Vanderbilt had a 17-play drive. 17 plays, almost 10 minutes of game time.
Out physical, you.
That's, I mean, at that point, when you're doing that to a defense, you get to the point where third, fourth quarter, you're sucking wind. I mean, it doesn't matter how athletic you are. Eventually, you're going to get tired, and they're like, oh, wait, we can do this all day. Vandy's, we do this all day.
At Captain America, I can do this all day.
And they did it all day, man. And they marched their way to a 40-35 win. In probably, it's probably one of the best games I've watched recently. Like, it's one of the best games of the year.
Well, for you, especially as a Georgia fan, you were like, oh, this is great.
I mean, yeah, but it's like,
ass kicked. I mean, I know I liked it as a Tennessee Volunteer fan.
Yeah, it's one thing to like,
it's even more special.
I mean, if it would have been, I don't know, man. I've watched Bama lose. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I sit every weekend. I don't sit and pray for Bama to lose, but
you like
to
Vandy,
like
when they lose,
man.
Though. Come on,
like,
don't lie to me. You like to see them lose. I know. I like to see them lose.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Do you?
I just like
Chase?
good football, man. I just like good football.
Lose? In the short term, I'm gonna be honest with you. In the short term, I do, and I think this is nice because it adds the one-loss chaos.
Exactly.
But I'm not like every week. I don't want them to like go. I'm not one. I want to beat them at their best.
Okay,
I'm one of those.
That's
dudes.
fair.
I want Bama to come in and have all the swag and us take them down. I'm that kind of guy. Now, if we're having a terrible season, I want them to also have. I'm gonna be 100%.
Yeah.
If like if we're having a bad season, we had a pretty tough run there, boys. Before you came along, Greg, we were having a pretty tough run.
You're welcome.
So thank you for moving.
Yep.
I wanted Bama and I wanted Georgia. I wanted everybody to lose. You know, I wanted us to lose. I hated our coaching staffs. I wanted everybody to lose. I wanted nobody to be happy on Saturday. If I'm not happy on Saturday, you're not happy on Saturday.
There was a long time where I felt like that, and I was like, man, I just want Bama to lose. And then Georgia started doing what they've done, and I was like, oh, so this is what it feels like when every other fan base is just like, man, I just want to see Georgia lose. I just want to see Georgia lose. Right, I just want to see Georgia lose. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I did not expect this. I didn't expect that kind of run, but I don't know, man. And I've also kind of tried to evolve my understanding of football. Obviously, wanted to get into it more from like an X and O standpoint. So I don't know, man. I don't really think I cheer for teams to lose, but I was very happy for Vanderbilt. Like, I wasn't necessarily, when I found myself reflecting on the game, I wasn't like, man, I'm glad Bama lost. It was Vandy deserved that, man.
Yeah.
They fought for that. Like, they went out and they were just like, nobody believes in us. There's more Bama fans here than there are Vanderbilt fans, and we don't care because we believe.
You know what's funny is, like, I'm just sitting here listening to you guys talk about this, and like, this is the old like college versus pros mindset.
Yeah.
Like, before I moved to the South, I was always like, why are other people rooting for their opposing teams in their own conference? Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why do LSU fans want Alabama to win, or why do Tennessee fans want Georgia to win? It's like you're rooting for the conference instead of rooting against teams in your conference. Like, when I look at it from a pro football perspective or baseball or basketball, like, I don't want the Phillies to win. I don't want the Braves to win. I'm a Mets fan. Or I don't want the Vikings. I'm never going to root for the Vikings to be good. Like, I want to I don't care if I solely dominate my division. I don't care how gosh darn bad the Vikings, the Bears, or the Lions are, as long as we take care of business and we play well. I'm not going to root for anybody else in our division. Like, that's just not what I'm going to do. So, like, it just feels very different from the pro perspective to the college perspective.
Yeah, especially at the mass that each division is.
Yeah.
Conference, I guess. There's no more divisions, RIP. But
Rats.
It's weird because I guess I don't root for anybody to win outside of Tennessee. Like, even like in a gamesmanship, like I was like, I hope both these teams lose in that Georgia, Alabama. Awesome game, awesome ending. You clarify that was a good point, G.
Yes.
First half. Cool to watch Jalen Milroe do cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I like watching cool athletes do things. But other than that, it's like kind of sucked in the first half. But then you get this miraculous round 2. So for that, I like that part, and I like watching football, and I've become a lot less biased. Like, I still enjoy it, and I make sure I make time for my Vols. But as we've kind of grown in this world, I've definitely like lost a lot of the Tennessee losing doesn't give me sleepless nights anymore. That's kind of gone. Like, that part of my fandom
for sure.
is over. Like, I'm sad for a minute, and I'm like, dadgummit, dude. Like, that's bull crap. And we'll talk about it with my boys and then talk about it here. And it's like, all right, but it doesn't hurt me as much. And I do like your point, G. I don't know if I don't really root for the SEC. I'm like, I don't like for them to win, but I also want people at their best. It's hard to like decipher that, but yeah, I don't even like Vandy. Like, I don't like Vandy either. So I kind of want them to lose too. It's like, I like for them just to get beat up on every once in a while. But like you said, it was really good for college football because this was the air quotes apple picking weekend. Like, this is the week you go out to get with on the big fancy day.
Never do it, man.
You've been asked, and you're like, I'll be honest. I had worked for a little while, and a lot of my friends were out, Three Sisters and Chat on the river and all this stuff. And I was like, I'll watch some college football. We're just going to hang out. And I was trying to build some projects, and here we go. Mass chaos all day. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is happening? So it's fun. Can't hold your breath or any week right now.
No.
And these next two are going to be sick.
Yeah, they are really going to be exciting when it comes to college football. And I'll throw a scenario out to you guys before we move on from this subject. But, I had a wedding this past weekend, and fall weddings are always interesting. I remember JJ's wedding that we went to during the Alabama game. Like, not ideal, but there was like 3 or 4 groups of us watching that game on our phones a couple of years ago. And then obviously, what's his name, hitting the big field goal at the end of the game to beat Alabama.
Knuckleball, baby.
Yeah. Looked like a soggy loaf of bread just making its way through the uprights. It was the ugliest field goal I've ever seen in my life, but it went through the uprights. It counted. They beat Alabama, and everything was right with the world. And just the explosion of excitement between everybody that was at that wedding. And it was so much fun. It was sort of special to be there. I know obviously it's not ideal. We don't get a chance to sit down and watch the game on TV, but it was special to be there with everybody. And the DJ plays Rocky Top, and we're all smoking cigars, and we're having a great time. Like, that was really cool. But I was at a wedding where, like, nobody really cared about Tennessee or the Mets or Alabama or anything along those lines. So, like, I kind of felt bad because, like, I barely hit the dance floor. Now, the DJ, not great. Very lackluster. Older dude. Speaker system was terrible. But it was just like I felt very disengaged from the actual wedding because I'm sitting there and watching a Mets playoff game. They win in exciting fashion. Then
you have been on a heater of great games for the Mets, bro.
Dude, I feel like I'm losing years off of my life. It's just very stressful that they wait to the end to do something. But as long as they win, I don't care how you do it. It's fun to be able to win that way. But it would be nice to win like an 8-1 game.
Yeah, just to get one.
Not as much.
You're not sweating the whole time?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not having a heart attack.
Yeah.
But then I watched the end of the Alabama game, and then I turned the Tennessee game on. My cousin's husband was watching the Michigan game. So I go over there with my phone. I pull up next to him, and we're chit-chatting. So, like, we kind of bonded through that. But, like, I felt bad. I was just very disengaged at the wedding, like, just literally on my phone, just watching sports. But that's kind of the risk you run when you have your wedding in October. I'm sorry, Abby. Like, that's just what happens. Yep. You got these people that are big sports people that are going to be a little bit more engaged because it is college football season. It's MLB playoffs if your team's in it. So I felt kind of bad, but I kind of, as a sports fan, I kind of felt like I had to do what I had to do in that moment.
You sure did.
It's a double-edged sword, man. It's one of those things where it's like, listen, if you're going to have the audacity to have your wedding on especially a big, like if anybody that's having an October 12th wedding or an October 19th wedding.
Hey, Travis,
I mean,
little brother.
Damn it,
how
Travis.
dare you?
My little brother's having his wedding on this Saturday. I was like, oh, hey,
What
sick,
an
bro.
asshole.
Yeah. I was like, your niece will be born by 2 a.m. Monday at worst. And then we have one of the biggest college football Saturdays ever.
Yeah. So
Not that I'm mad about it.
It's-
or anything.
it's one of those
It's not
things-
bothering you at all.
where it's like you know, if you're going to choose to have your wedding, especially in the South, because football's like a religion down here, man. It is. Football's a religion. So if you're going to choose to have it at this time of the year, you can't be mad for people that don't show up because they choose to either watch college football at home or watch sports at the wedding.
Yeah.
Like you can't be mad.
Nope.
That's their choice. Just like you chose to have your wedding at this point in time.
So
Yeah.
what would be the ideal time to have a wedding? Like if you were going to have like a legitimate, decent sized wedding, when would be your ideal time as a sports fan? And knowing your friends are probably sports fans as well, what would be the ideal time for you guys to have it? Everything considered.
Low key, okay. A buddy of one of my best friends got married in December.
So did mine.
Like and in the South, some years
Roomy.
you can get away with that. Like it's not freeze. It's not
Oh, well.
warm.
Well,
But I said some
Damn
years,
cold.
some
On the
years,
Walnut Street Bridge. It was pretty damn
some
cold that
years,
morning.
and some days. You know,
From what I
obviously, it's a roll of the dice. It's definitely a roll of the dice. But I mean, it's not like trying to get married in December in Michigan. You know,
You're
Yeah.
not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
The December, yeah, especially like ours was the third week of December 18th.
that's my birthday.
That's your birthday? You're Sagittarius?
That's
Bro,
my
mine
birthday.
is December 15th.
Hey, let's
We're
go.
right next to each other. No shit.
Well, so
That's
it's like
amazing.
it's one of those times too where most people are done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
You have some pretty crap bowls.
Yep.
You got some college basketball going on. You might be starting like conference play in college basketball, but you might have to miss one of those. You know, you might have to miss a.
But is that the ideal time to have a wedding?
To me, I'll be honest with you. Even though I understand what the games will be, if we were going to do a big wedding, it would have been on New Year's. I love
Oh,
a New Year's Eve wedding. It's already a party. You get all your friends together. If you do it right, you do it big.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
that's not the
I
answer.
didn't
I was-
expect. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't
that's a
expect
good
that
answer.
That's a great answer.
I'm here for you.
if I had to pick,
Yeah, give me something.
I'd probably say like sometime in like April. I feel like April's a good time around here.
yeah, late
You know?
April.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Final Four's over.
rolling from into spring. Like I feel like April's a good time, you know, because
Mhm.
like part of me wants to be
Warming
like, part of me wants to be like August because you get it right before football season. You're married, you roll right into football season, but it's August in Tennessee, man. It's
Sweaty.
brutal, dog.
Yeah,
Like,
the girls can
you
be in
ask-
nice little dresses, but we're gonna have to be in a
yeah,
sweat.
you asking
suit
boys
and
to wear
sweating.
like, whew,
Yeah, it's gonna be
that's
tough.
that's a lot to ask. So,
I don't know
yeah.
if I've told you about my first best man scenario.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
All
share,
right.
share for the class.
Yeah, so this is a tough one.
Story time.
It
Story
was
time.
the most obvious bet of all time my friends made, and I totally was like, I'm going to come up clutch here. It is middle of July in Alpharetta, Georgia. Full tux, 1,000 degrees outside, and best man and my boys look over and is like, dude, Chase, sweatiest hands in America, he's definitely dropping the ring. And I was like, not dropping the ring. I
Hands
dropped
of
the ring.
God.
You dropped it.
I dropped the ring. Ding 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 ding
Dang,
ding ding.
Chase.
ding.
Where'd you drop it? Like just
right
on the
there
ground?
at the feet. Yeah, right there on the feet on the ground.
Gosh.
I didn't know what my transition periods would be. You know, I'm like thinking about, all right, I'm going to go from pocket to hand. It was a late give to me in the box, so I tried to open the box at the same time. Poor execution.
Ring slipped out.
Sweaty hands got me bad because if I would have had a good clean grip, probably could have saved it. Might have dropped the box, but I definitely would have made it. But it was just a bad drop all around, and they called it, and everybody just knew it was going to happen, and that just crushed me because I was like, that was my one moment to be like, suck it, boys, and I didn't do it. I
Nope.
didn't do it. Let down.
So it's like you trying to talk to that.
So if I have a July wedding, I probably won't be in any wedding party. I just can't afford that. I have PTSD from it.
It's like you trying to talk to that the hostess at one point and called yourself Treen.
Treen. Yeah. Don't even know how that one happened. I felt actually pretty confident.
Moments.
Yeah, the little moments. You're like, dang, dude, I've had some really good ones, but it's always the bad ones that shine.
You always remember the bad ones.
I always remember the bad ones. I've had hundreds of great moments in my life.
Oh yeah,
but man, those 5 bad ones, God, sleepless nights.
Oh dude, you never forget when they hand you your food at the drive-thru and they say enjoy and you say thanks, you too. And that's when and you're like you just drive off and you're like I'm just gonna drive off a bridge. Like,
have a good flight. You too.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going what an idiot.
Yeah, you're like I hope she's flying like tomorrow.
Funny enough, I'm actually getting on this plane. Are you really? No. Damn it.
Damn. You had a flight attendant. You're like, man.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, I think for me, the ideal wedding time would probably be around like April, May ish, because you're not going to have NFL or college football. Baseball season's just starting. You might have kind of the end of the basketball season.
Yeah.
And it's not too hot out. So to me, that's sort of the ideal time that I would want to have a wedding. Do you guys, you just said it. I assume you like it. I heard somebody on ESPN radio one time talking about having a wedding on a holiday.
New Year's is the only one I would do.
Yeah. You wouldn't do Memorial Day or something like that?
I think you could get away with like Halloween. I don't know what that says about you if you're choosing to do a wedding on Halloween.
That could be sick though.
Yeah, that could be right.
That could be like if you have to do it right. I don't know. I guess it would be like masquerade.
We did. One of my good friends did it like right around Halloween. It wasn't exactly on Halloween, but it was like right there. And one of my friends was like joking about making it like a Halloween party.
Yeah.
They didn't end up doing that. So they didn't lean into the Halloween theme of it all. But
you could do something like it could be like a masquerade type wedding. You could have some fun with it, make it nice at the same time. Now you made me think of something. If you did it the day before, like a Memorial Day or a Labor Day, and you gave everybody the extra day to recover.
So that's what I'm saying. That's really why I would like it. Like that's the only reason why I would like to do it on a holiday weekend, something like that. But I've heard other people make the comparison or talk about how other people people already have plans like for Memorial Day. They want to go do different things. But I'm with you. Like I think it would be great to have like a Memorial Day weekend wedding where you do it on like Sunday's probably going to be a little cheaper.
Yeah.
And then everybody's got Monday to recover or to travel or do whatever you have to do, like to get yourselves back and ready. And now you might not be able to get with all of the Memorial Day festivities, or maybe they want to take Tuesday off.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's enjoy while we're all together on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a Labor Day or something like that.
Yeah. That's an easy one. That's a good
think
thought
that's
process.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now, man, I'm not going to take anybody's Christmas away. I mean, besides me being the greatest gift I can give, but other than that,
I feel like Christmas is the big one where it's like, hey, don't.
Christmas or Thanksgiving, just don't.
Yeah,
do
and
that.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's our family Super Bowl. I think people would kind of bail out on Christmas. But Thanksgiving around the Green and Edmonds family it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So. Oh yes, it is. I remember I went to like 3 Thanksgivings.
Yeah, G hopped on our Thanksgiving wagon. It's a full adventure.
It was fantastic. Some of the best food I've ever had.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Edmonds. Shout out to the Greens.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's a good day.
Great day.
Yeah. NFL.
Well, do we want to just talk about we don't have to get into depth, but just like Ole Miss beat up on South Carolina at South Carolina. Not much to talk about there.
Yeah. Ole Miss got right. I mean, it was a get right week. Like Ole Miss did what they needed to do.
Yes. After the disappointing loss and then obviously the Gus Bus.
Was there anybody else you guys were disappointed by? Like you got the USC, UCF.
Disappointed.
Michigan was, I don't know.
Kind of disappointing. Alex Orji just didn't have it. Like if you need him to throw the football, you're not going to win football games.
No,
he is not a passer of the football.
They're not at all.
Great game between Syracuse and UNLV. We talked about that.
Yeah, absolute fireworks.
Amazing. Kyle McCord, dude.
Friday night's on a generational run for football this year, man. They have had some damn good games that have happened on Friday night. I'm hoping that run continues. I ain't complaining. By no means am I complaining.
I like the Friday night game.
I do too.
I really like it.
Nice little appetizer before the main slate on the Saturday. Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
Because what was the other? There's another good game before that.
On Friday?
Michigan State and Oregon played. That wasn't necessarily a good game.
on
but,
Friday.
No, there was one before that. I mean, I
Um,
liked having I know it didn't want to be a great game, but like having the Arizona Kansas State game on there. Like,
Yeah.
Miami played. That was fun.
Houston upset TCU.
That's right. That was the one I was
So,
thinking of. Yeah,
yep.
that was another good one because you're like, oh, okay, Houston's a little bit better. Like the wins for Oklahoma start adding up. Like those little things add up, and you're like, all right, Saturday we got something to spiel on. So, man, this has been such a good college football season. So,
And how about Miami escaping California?
I'm
day
so
was out
I'm
there.
so mad, man. I fell asleep. I tried, dude.
Yeah,
I tried so hard to push through. Like I think it was,
I was late.
dude. I was
so late, dude.
and poor
God, Reese.
shout out real quick, man, to Reese Davis. What an absolute warrior! Like listening to him on the call, this man, like his voice was hurting, and you know what? Just a warrior. Just appreciate that, man. Appreciate Reese
you.
Davis.
3 class for Reese Davis.
Yeah, big time.
God, what a day though! Game day did look like a lot of fun for Cal.
It's always interesting when you go to like those West Coast teams because it's like they're doing those shows. They're at the butt crack of dawn. Like they
6
said,
a.m.
yeah, kids were like already out there camping out at like midnight, standing around trying to get good spots for game day because game day just doesn't come out to California. And look, I'll give it to the Golden Bears
Golden
that
Bears.
they called Gophers, the Golden Bears. They showed up and showed out. Like they gave Miami a game. Like, and again, it was just sort of Cam Ward magic in the fourth quarter, scoring 21 points and coming all the way back.
Yep.
And that late touchdown to win it. It was pretty impressive. And you talked about USC, which was a disappointment, losing to PJ Fleck and the Golden Gophers.
Talk about
Golden
getting out
Gophers.
physical, man. That's
My
all that
gosh.
Big Ten football, baby.
Yeah, they're just,
Welcome to Big Ten
they're just
football.
not ready
I
for
hate
it.
that notion too, and I'm like, they actually got Big Ten.
They
football.
actually they got Big Ten football.
Actually got
100%.
Big Ten football.
Yeah.
Can we? And I said this pre-show. Miami's going to get got, dude. Miami's going to get got. They're going to get got. No, they are. It's going to happen. I don't know who it's going to happen to or when it's going to happen. I was a little bit bold. Greg kind of pushed back on me a little bit there, but I if they manage to make it 12-0, I think they're going to play Clemson. As much as because now the ACC I think leading is Miami's undefeated, Clemson's undefeated, and SMU is your third team after they beat Louisville on Saturday. Speaking of teams we're disappointed in, I expected more out of Louisville coming off a loss to Notre Dame and at home. But Miami, man, it was cool. It was one of those things where it was like it was cool how nonchalant Cam looked.
Yeah.
And how just like
swagger.
Yeah. But now I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, one of these days, and I feel like it's coming sooner rather than later, there's going to be a game where you look like that or you do something like that. You throw across your body back over the middle for a pick six and you don't get back into the game. You don't come back. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, you just got handed an L. Like,
where might that happen?
Either next week or the
if
19th. The 19th when they come back, they're off next week. But they're at Louisville, and then the one that you're going to have to worry about is at Syracuse.
At Syracuse to end the year.
The Carrier Dome is a scary place to play, man.
Can't be.
Man, looking at their schedule, if they get through Louisville, I really think. And I'm gonna catch some heat for this, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna catch some heat for
Give
this.
Give me a Miggy take.
It's Clemson, dude.
Yeah, we talked about
man.
Oh,
if you make it to the ACC championship game and you screw around like this against Clemson, you're playing a program that's been there. You're playing a coaching staff that's been there. They've done this. Those receivers that we've talked about have started to come on. They've got a full season under their belt now. Cade Klubnik has started to look better.
Yeah, you're playing crap competition.
You are. But at the same time, being a young quarterback, being his second year in the Garrett Riley system, you need that. Build that confidence. Get better. Learn and go and improve. And then sometimes all you need is that one game where it's like, oh, this is a real game. Ball out.
Yeah.
And I just I could see that going this way for Miami, where they go 12-0. The swagger's back. Miami's king of the ACC. And then you run into good old reliable old Camry. Old Toyota Corolla comes rolling up and they're like, man, we've been doing this for years. Like, yeah, we're getting criticized. We've been down a few years, but we know how to win. We know how to win in big moments. I don't know, man. I'll take the heat for it. I
appreciate you going out on a limb. I really
but
do.
I don't know, man. I like the hot and up and coming team.
And you see all the chaos happening. Like, it would just sort of make sense that happens.
Yeah.
But
Now
Miami and Cam Ward are too damn good. They are too damn good to lose to Clemson.
They are the more
Bama was
talented.
too damn good to lose to Vandy.
Yeah, but they took him for granted. Like, I don't think
You don't think
that they're
Miami?
gonna take.
You don't think that
Clemson
same
for-
mindset could creep into
I don't
Miami?
think they're going to
I
take.
think
Clemson for
it would.
granted.
I think
I
it
don't
could.
think it'd be Clemson. I think it would be like a Louisville or a Syracuse or a Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech. Like, it's going to be one of those.
Now, if Miami catches a loss before then, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay,
Reset.
you're just talking about like the
I'm
12
thinking
and 0.
if they're 12 and 0 rolling
king of the
into
swing,
Charlotte,
yeah.
man, they're like, oh, we got this, and then quiet little
I got
11
you.
and 1 Clemson's just hanging out there, like,
Which is a
We've
joke.
been here, man.
Those two
We've been
teams
here.
They don't play each other. They don't play neither one of them play SMU. It's like, dadgummit. This ACC kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
and then
it's,
both of them probably going to get in.
I think it's one of the consequences of divisions, of no divisions, is these where it's like, yeah, it sucks that, and specifically picking on the Big Ten, it sucks that, insert Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State is going to get a free win against Iowa, but at this point, it's like, maybe we should have just shuffled the divisions instead of fully eliminating them. Why couldn't we have done a staggered system where it's like 1 and 2, the divisions finish this way, so now 1 and 2 or 1 and 2 from this division, they go over here and you flip back and forth and kind of spice it up a little bit. I don't know.
It's a lot.
We'll see.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Because there's no perfect system in this
Yeah.
scenario. But
And especially as you add more teams to your conference, because I unfortunately don't think that's done. You can only play so many games.
you can only play so many games.
So
I have a feeling like my thought with Miami was I think they roll through the ACC, but they have a shot to play a pretty low seed. That's who they'll take for granted. Like in the playoff.
If it plays out this way, because I think it's going to be, would you give the nod to the 1-loss SEC champion over an undefeated Miami, knowing what the ACC is as the top seed?
Depending on how they won, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like, if it's Texas and they lose a close one to Georgia, but then they get them back and they kind of win emphatically, then yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's about the only way I could do it. I mean,
I think,
logically. Dude.
I think a 1-loss SEC team would probably get the nod just because the ACC is so bad. And then would you give a 1-loss Ohio State the nod? Say they beat Oregon twice, or they lose to Oregon and then beat Oregon. Would you give them the nod over undefeated Miami?
Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah. I think there's a case where an undefeated Miami could be the 3rd seed.
So that puts Miami playing as more than likely the 3rd seed.
Yeah.
And they play
a 2-loss UCF. Will be playing.
This man, his UCF train, dude.
I'm gonna die for one more
like,
week. One more or 2 more games. I just need to I'm gonna let this thing burn.
I respect
USC
it.
wagon. It's really tough right now. Yeah.
I respect the dedication to the Gus Bus, man. I do. But
I have no belief in it anymore because I guess I finally saw the secondary be so terrible
against Graham Mertz.
Yeah. I was like, man, you guys are really bad. I mean, you knew you were bad, but you're like really bad.
So here's a scenario playing off the Miami as the 3rd seed.
That's a very fancy graphic over there.
According to Bud Elliott, just off his playoff predictions, man from the Cover 3 podcast, he would have, if Georgia was the 6th seed, Iowa State the 11th seed, winner of that game plays Miami. So I don't want to say
who was 11. I'm sorry,
Iowa State. So it'd be Georgia playing Iowa State, and then Georgia playing Miami. But let's just play on that for a little bit. That team doesn't necessarily have to be Georgia. It could be Texas. It could be Bama. It could be Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's all fair to say that, respect to Matt Campbell and the boys out there, but
that ain't.
You had a good run.
You
had a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, against all those teams, and then Miami playing Texas or Bama or Georgia or some other top team, maybe Oregon.
Yeah,
potentially.
Whoa!
All of a sudden,
maybe
competition gets a lot more real.
Real. That's why this 12-team playoff is going to be so sick because
you're nuts.
We're going to get that good Iowa State team or that good if Cam Rising comes back in week 12 team, you're going to get something like that. And it's like, man,
I mean,
that's our week 1 in the college football playoff is those two teams. In this case, I don't know who it's going to be. It's probably UNLV right now. Get the G5.
I don't know, man. Boise.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to ride
Genty.
Ashton Genty to.
Genty is got
Yeah. Genty's. SMU's
No,
ACC.
Oh,
ACC.
sorry, I
It's
forgot.
weird now.
No, it's that was one of those late additions. It's like
Yeah.
Cal. I forget Cal's in
Yeah.
the ACC. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know. But to me, Cal always felt more like a Mountain West team.
Who
Yeah.
is it? Somebody
that's
has-
true. It did feel like a Mountain
Sorry,
West
Cal.
team.
Didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Didn't mean to give you a
Been
straight
tough
there.
since
but-
Aaron Rodgers has been there.
Yeah.
They have not had a good go of it.
God, how freaking good was Marshawn
Oh,
on
dude.
game day?
I didn't get a chance to watch game day.
Was it Pat that like tapped him and said they were talking about Texas A&M? He's like, "What do you think about Mike Elko?" He's like, "I don't even know who Mike is." Like, I love it, man. Just-
Oh, so SMU. Speaking of,
Yeah.
I heard this. Listen to their next 2 weeks. You guys ready for this?
I'm
Oh,
ready.
dude.
They're
Always.
off. They're off next week, so nice little bye
Bye week.
Yep.
before
Open
they
date.
have to go at Stanford and then at Duke.
Oh,
The travel.
Welcome to the ACC. boys.
oh my God.
Your Atlantic Coast Conference game in
You're going to the West
Palo
Coast.
Alto.
Wild.
That is brutal.
You just gotta like change the name of these conferences. I feel
Yeah,
like.
it
I just-
doesn't
a little
sound
weird.
good because now
Still
you're the
weird.
Big Ten with 28 teams. It feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
the
know.
SEC is the only one that really
It makes sense now.
like kind of southeastern, but it's like
Southeastern-ish.
Oklahoma's not really.
SEC-ish.
It's like the Southish Midwest.
Kinda, sorta.
We're counting Missouri. you know?
Yeah, kind of. Can we just hand Missouri back to the Big 12?
I'm now.
sorry.
Now
I'm
I'm kind of
just-
tired of the alpha nerd. Like if he's not going to be dominant, I want him gone. I'm done with that.
All right,
No.
man. But I guess final touches to wrap up the weekend.
College football's great.
Either one of you guys get eyes on Penn State?
No, I didn't. It's not
I-
fun.
I wish I could have watched this whole game, but unfortunately I didn't. I'll be a box score warrior. 27-11 to UCLA.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, from what I understand, I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think Nick Singleton played in this game. No, it looks like he did not. He was out. I don't know. Penn
just
State
keep winning.
feels they just keep winning until they
Keep winning.
play somebody. They just Penn State, man.
Yep.
They're just
This
Penn
is what they
State.
do.
Yep,
They rack
this
up
is
about
exactly-
like 10 wins a year.
Yep.
They're going to lose to Ohio State. You know, who knows what's going to happen
Play USC this
this
weekend.
weekend against USC, the way USC's looked.
at USC.
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is weird.
USC's just praying that they're thankful that game's at home.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good look for them in another wide out atmosphere. But yeah, Penn State. I mean, we'll see. We'll see this weekend if the physicality is just going to be too much for USC or somebody like that. But I don't know. They're another one. They can beat somebody in the playoff if they sneak in as their third, fourth, whatever team for the Big Ten.
Yeah.
They'd be the third team, I guess, right now, right? Ohio State, Oregon.
Yeah, now that USC's kind of fallen off and Michigan's
Indiana is the top of that division right now.
Curse Signetti, baby.
Yeah.
First bowl eligible team,
6-0.
boys.
3-0.
Google
conference.
me.
Yeah.
What a line, man. Just
Did you guys see? I think it was Feinbaum. It was like he's going to be the next Nick Saban.
No.
Kurt Signetti?
Yeah.
I mean, all due respect, dude. I love
And
what
I mean,
come on.
with
I
all
love
due
what Kurt
respect.
Sig's.
Yeah, with
I
all
love
due
what Kurt Sig's doing at Indiana. But
Basketball.
well, I mean, to the next Nick Saban, he got that long left.
that boy is going to have to. Get
I mean,
that
he's going to be
robo
like
body.
Bill Schneider territory on the sidelines there.
Yeah.
Like
So he was with who was he with? He's with Alabama, and then where was he?
Kurt Signetti.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently he was with Alabama for some pretty significant recruitments.
yeah.
Um,
So then he had the JMU. The
he was at
job.
JMU. He was at JMU before he left
Well,
Indiana.
was he there for a while? I don't know before that.
I don't remember
I don't
how
know if
long
you
he
know
was
off
at
the top of your
JMU.
head,
I
but
don't
like-
think so.
His impact on another program. God, the funding that's going to come in on these nerd schools at Indiana and Vanderbilt And obviously the Sac-12. I know we talked about that a little bit.
Is Indiana a nerd school?
I like to think they're a little uppity. I don't know if it's.
I don't know if they're a nerd school.
They're a pretty smart school.
Yeah.
But they are they're snooty, if you will.
Well, they just beat another nerd school in Northwestern.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Northwestern
practice field.
They're playing, yeah.
Nice
Which is
view.
actually kind of a beautiful scenery
I
for
know.
a football
Yeah, the
game
backdrop's
right on
great.
the lake there.
Yeah.
Shout out
Chicago.
Northwestern.
They got a good game coming up next week. They have a bye week. Indiana does. And then they got to play at home against Nebraska. That'll be a good one.
That will be a good one.
Yeah.
Dylan
Raiola.
Raiola. That'll be fun. Yeah, these next 2 weekends, boys. Gracie's coming into the world.
Great for college football.
Great.
I love my baseball boys, but I'm low key a little excited to have like a Sunday off.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to like go coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All day.
Welcome.
Yeah, it makes for long Sundays. It was kind of nice. I wasn't at the games this past weekend, and I was in Oklahoma or not Oklahoma,
Nebraska.
Omaha. Words are hard sometimes.
Oklahoma of the North.
It's getting late. We've all had long days.
Yeah, I was up at 5:00. Just to catch my flight this morning. But yeah, it's been a long day. It has been a long day. Where was I going with this?
But I
was in Omaha this weekend, and it was just so nice to be able to like sleep in. Shout out to my dad. He brought me breakfast up from the hotel lobby. Didn't have to get up to go get breakfast. He did 2 days in a row. Shout out to my dad. And I just got a chance to like just hang out and watch like fantasy football now. And I watched the Sunday morning game.
Yeah.
Got myself ready. I was in bed, sleeping on that awful pull-out couch mattress. My back already had enough problems going on.
Here we are, buddy. Here we are.
Yeah, this is almost 35, folks. But yeah, no, it was really nice to do that. I'm excited just the next couple of weekends. I know Gracie Lee's coming into the world, which we're really, really excited about. That and college football is, God, I can't wait. Can't wait, dude. It's going to be nice. We still got to do some lessons on Saturday mornings, so I don't really get to watch game day at all.
That's all right.
But I get to watch the games throughout the day, which is fantastic. I love doing that all day in the fall.
It's the best.
All day.
No better way to spend a Saturday.
Once the weather starts getting down a little bit, take a TV out to the hot tub. Just hang out in the
you're gonna
hot
have
tub.
a set up, bro.
Man, it's gonna be
It's
so
gonna be.
nice.
I felt that when we walked in tonight. I was like, that crisp air of autumn.
Yes, it's coming. Dude, it was 43 this morning in Nebraska.
Knocking on that
43.
door, baby. That's nice.
I didn't like it that cold. I'm like, I didn't really bring a tire to be prepared for 43 degrees in the morning.
Yeah.
But here we are. All right, let's transition over to the NFL, shall we? Let's talk a little NFL. We've already gone pretty long with this pod.
We have lost our middle camera. So
okay, well, no more of Chase. Oh no,
sorry,
we're
Chase.
Full camera.
Sorry, Chase on the solo shot.
Shoot.
That's all right. Theo Vaughn knows we're here.
Yes, he does. He sure does. I just want to, since they're sort of a regional team, shout out to Miggy's Falcons.
Shout out Thursday night.
Thursday night, we were out at Mike's. He just got accepted to the fraternity.
Oh, yes.
Alpha.
Let's give 3 claps to our boy.
Love you, Mig. Congratulations.
Big
Freaking awesome.
congrats, buddy.
Freaking awesome. What a win for the Falcons. Like, he left. He left before that game was over. He's like, nah, it's over. In the fourth quarter when they turn the football over, they turn it over on downs or something like that. And then Kirko clutch. He knows pain. Back.
He knows pain.
He does. He's like, I've been there. I've done this before.
Kirko
I don't want to, live through this again. And they came back and they won. It was a nice night. Kirk threw for over 500 yards in that game.
Broke Matt Ryan's record on the night they inducted him.
That's right.
Like, I love you, Matt.
Yeah.
You're doing great. Let me just go out here and ball.
Hope retirement's been great for you. I'm going to go break your records real quick on your night. Congratulations, though. And we're going to get you a win.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wasn't upset.
That was such a fun win, too.
It was.
That was a fun game to watch. No defense, but still awesome.
That's fine. I love those type of offensive games.
Me too.
I'm a huge fan of those.
I know there can be times like watching a defensive game is fun, but I don't want to see it every week. I want points. I want action. I like the back and forth. That's why I like the second half of the Bama Georgia game was so much fun. You're like, oh my gosh, you can't.
But even that was like one-sided.
Yeah.
Like, I like a back and forth shootout. Like, that's why I don't think that game was a great game. It was just a great finish.
Yeah.
Like, the last half of the fourth quarter was great because it was very back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm with you. Like, that game felt very back and forth. A divisional game. The Falcons win it. They moved to first place in the division. And that's honestly where they should be. Like we talked about it with the Falcons. Like they should win this division. It should be them and the Bucs. And if the Saints want to hang around, cool. The Panthers aren't doing shit. It's going to be the Falcons, the Bucs, and the Saints.
Yep.
And man, like that's another. The NFC is so strange to me, like because there's parts of the Falcons, like man, if they can just kind of put it together defensively and offensively on the same day, this could be a really good team. But I don't know. I don't know who. I don't love. I mean, you're telling me the Vikings are the number one team. I mean, I get it. Like watching them, you're like 5 games, 5-0, look good, but I can't trust Sammy D the rest of the way here.
No, it can't.
I can't do that.
The defense has been playing well. They've been forcing some
have.
turnovers and whatnot. Shout out to Brian Flores. I know Miggy gives him props all of the time. But, yeah, you just – with that offense, I just don't trust Sam Darnold.
Can't do it. Can't do it, won't do it. And then Commanders, if the playoffs started today.
Joseph just perked up in a big
Jaden
way.
Daniels, man.
That's a bad man.
That boy's
6
a
to midnight over
bad. Woo! That boy's balling.
The Washington Commanders would be the number 2 seed right now.
Man,
Atlanta
we wrote
Falcons.
them off.
Seahawks, Lions, Bucks, Cowboys.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a long NFL season, boys.
It's a long season.
NFL season.
That's going to change.
The NFC West is just bad.
You
I can't make it out.
you legitimately think Jaden Daniels has a chance to win MVP now?
I mean, he's got to be
At least in the conversation.
He's got to be in the conversation. Like
to this point.
Yes. If I had to pick right now, like I'm saying, like, look, he's not gonna win it.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen has looked terrible the last couple of weeks. He's been awful.
He hasn't. Yeah. He hasn't looked as good the last 2 weeks as he did the first 3.
Not
No,
at all.
for
And
sure.
I think it's starting to really catch up to them that they don't have a go-to wide receiver. Like you saw Keon Coleman make a big play for him. If he doesn't make that play, his stats look even worse in that game.
He looked awful.
Yeah.
That's
awful.
That's why I said they need Devontae Adams.
I was about to say, is
Go
that a team in the
trade.
race for Devontae Adams?
They should. I don't think they are, but they should be. They should be out there for Devontae Adams because that wide receiving core is abysmal. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. And that's why I'm really concerned about the Bills. Their defense isn't as good as it normally is. The Jets, as much as I love Aaron Rodgers, like there's moments where I'm like, there's the old Aaron. But then there's moments I'm like, what the freak are you doing? Like, what is that throw? Like, why would you even make that throw?
Yeah.
And outside of Garrett Wilson, like they just don't have another reliable receiver. I know you could tell me Alan Lazard is his boy, but he drops the ball way too often.
Yeah.
Mike Williams is basically a shell of himself. Breece Hall is not running the football as effectively as you were hoping he would. And Tyler Conklin's just basically your safety blanket.
That's
There's nothing really dynamic about that Jets offense.
No.
And it kind of scares me.
Yeah.
And Aaron's 40 years old. He can't continue to keep taking these hits. Like I saw his leg get bent up on, and I know he's a warrior, but
Oh, I thought he was done. I thought he was
My
done. Not for the
gosh.
year, but like
Yeah,
I
for
was
that
like, oh
game.
yeah, Aaron's out for the game. Like he's gonna be
Yeah.
out. This is over.
Those aren't easy to come back from, especially at 40 years
I'm
old.
a man.
Yeah.
I'm 40.
But dude, that's a weird one for me because like I want them to be better, I guess, the Jets. But then they just can't. They just don't have like these small pieces that matter big time. And I keep wanting to think like, oh yeah, they're just gonna wind up kind of taking over the AFC East. It just hasn't happened yet. And it's kind of the same for kind of like the Bengals right now. You're like, oh, they're gonna eventually get better on defense.
Oh,
Nope, because they finally put their offense together. Getting T. Higgins back is a massive
It's been great.
jump. And you watch that offense, and you're like, holy crap. And then you realize Lamar Jackson and the Eagles or the Ravens. Look awesome. Awesome.
And Derrick Henry when they needed it.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry was like, oh yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I mean, the Bengals should have won that game. If
100%.
the holder didn't
100%.
botch the snap for McPherson, they win that game. But it just slipped out of his hands, and that was a makeable field goal for him. And the Ravens, give them credit, like they were able to take advantage of it and win the game in overtime.
Yep.
That was a great game. Like we're talking about shootouts back and forth. Like that's what you expected the Bengals to be.
Yep.
That's what
All
we've been
year,
talking
yep.
about with Joe
Yep.
Burrow. Like
Yep.
that's the Joe Burrow that all of us sat there and were like, defended him against Miggy and was like, this guy's not Sam Bradford.
Yeah,
2.0.
no, not even
Not even close.
5 tuds,
400
just-
yards. Like, come on, bro.
I mean, he had the one bad pick, but
Eh,
I mean, when you throw 5 touchdowns, man, it's like, come on, D. Like, I threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just help me out,
They've
just a
got
little
some
bit.
good pieces on defense
Yeah.
too, like Von Bell, our boy Von Bell's there.
Yep,
Geno
yep.
Stone in the secondary, former Raven. Trey Hendrickson's great, but
Yeah,
did you see?
Hendrickson looks awesome.
Did you see Hubbard get stiff armed by Lamar Jackson
Yeah.
on that touchdown throw
Yeah,
to Isaiah
just-
Likely?
Dude.
I mean, that's special stuff. Like that's why Lamar Jackson is the MVP. Now it's very frustrating that Mark Andrews isn't getting more involved in the offense from a fantasy perspective, but he had at least a couple of catches in that game. They need him to be a part of this passing offense if they want to have an effective passing offense. I think a little bit more stable passing offense. But another team that's cooked from that division, the Browns are freaking terrible. You can't take advantage of the Commanders secondary. Deshaun Watson, I know we've talked about him and we've talked about, like the things that he's had to deal with off the field this year so far. But my gosh, I just don't know what to say about them anymore. It's terrible watching them play football.
They're in the worst position possible
It's
from a
awful.
franchise. This is
the worst contract
good
ever.
Gosh,
Potentially, right?
Holds the ball too long. All the things,
Yeah.
all the wrong things. You're like, surely this guy can kind of figure it out from old days. Surely. And it ain't close, boys. It ain't even like there's not even like a sniff of a play. I don't get it. I know all the stuff that went on, but dadgum, what a fall from grace.
Right now, you'd want Joe Flacco over Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd take Andy Dalton over.
Do you want Jameis Winston? He's there.
I would take Jameis over him.
Jameis is there.
You at least got to try it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the guy who's going to let it fly.
Nothing else has worked.
Yeah.
What's it going to do? Get worse? It's get worse with your starting quarterback.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough spot to be
in.
in.
Much worse.
Somebody save my boy Amari Cooper. Get him out of there.
I know. I feel so bad.
Get him out of there, man. Jets? Amari Cooper?
What are you going to do if you're the Browns? You're just trying to blow it up at this point? I mean, you're not.
I don't know if you can, man.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
you got to keep. I don't know.
What do you do if you're the Cleveland Browns? Like, it's just so bad there.
You painted yourself into this corner.
You did,
and you're just
you did it to yourself. The ownership did it to themselves.
100%.
I don't know if it was Kevin Stefanski who was an advocate for this, but he's going to end up being the scapegoat. Like he's going to get fired.
Yeah, he will.
He's going to get fired for this season.
Maybe not. Maybe they'll scapegoat. Has he already had a chance to scapegoat some coordinators, Stefanski?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
No,
because maybe since he's had some success in Cleveland, he can get away with let's go a different direction with the offense, which might at most buy him another year. But if the Browns come out again and do this next year, I don't know, man.
Good luck, man.
It's not a good look for Cleveland.
It's that organization. It's just so hard to compete there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you just get dumber when you get up there, but it's just it's bad, man. Like from Watson's standpoint, it's the closest you can get because the cap isn't real, but
no,
it's the closest you can get to cap hell for them because the defense is like almost too good where you're not going to be like the worst team. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And now you got Nick Chubb coming back. So you might be a little bit better. You're going to beat a couple people.
I don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back. He's had a lot of knee problems.
Dude, if I'm going to be real. If I'm Stefanski, I don't know if I bring him back this year.
Shut up. I need him for fantasy.
I mean, I have him in fantasy too. I do. And I love him. Nick Chubb's.
He's special to you.
Yeah, but dude, why risk it? Because he probably doesn't come back. He's back at practice, but he's not in game shape. So realistically, if he gets back in game shape, probably we're looking at the first weekend in November, maybe.
Yeah.
At that point, if the Browns are still a 1-win team, why even risk it? Why risk the one shining spot that has been in your organization the past 2-3 years?
And you're in a really tough division. You have a shot to lose a lot of games.
Oh yeah. It's not pretty.
The quarterback class, unless you are in love with Cam, or Shador, but
no, I don't know.
No,
not for anything against them, but it's I don't see them as the type of quarterbacks that could come in and right the ship. I think there's more. I mean, yeah, Deshaun Watson's been bad, but
yeah. But I mean, are you just kind of delaying the inevitable, keeping your job? Well, give me time with this draft pick. We see that a lot. in the NFL. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I've got this draft pick, so you got to give me some time. And, Kirk Herbstreit had the real long expose on how he believed Jaden Daniels was the guy before all the combine stuff. And I don't know. Maybe Cam is that guy to some people. I just don't hear it the same way of like even the secondary guy belief. I mean, obviously Caleb was Caleb. He's in a different stratosphere when it comes to a product of like drafting a quarterback. But for Cam or Shador, maybe you have that. Maybe guys are like, when it gets closer to draft time, like he is going to be it. Right now, I don't hear that. I hear a lot of he might be the first quarterback taken because, he's Shador and he's.
You don't think Cam is going to be it? Cam Ward?
I think Shador's the number one.
Yeah, I think Shador's.
Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Cam Ward or Shador Sanders? Like, Shador's a bigger name, but I feel like Cam kind of just has it to a certain degree.
What organization am I? Because I think that matters. Like,
let's say the Browns fall off.
So we're going full on Browns first overall.
We'll just keep with the I'll let you choose between the Browns or the Patriots
or the Panthers.
Well, the Patriots aren't going to draft a quarterback.
They've got Drake.
Yeah, they've got Drake May. They're holding Drake May, which I think I'm all for.
Mind? Yeah, like, that's not a bad idea.
I'm all for that. Like,
there are a lot of 1-4 teams. I apologize.
There are
Browns, Patriots, Jaguars,
Titans,
Bengals, Titans.
I think
Rams,
the Bengals will
Panthers.
be okay. I think
Bengals will be okay.
better.
Yeah. Don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. But.
No, they'll be better though. They won't stay this bad.
Yeah.
You know what's the craziest thing? I was thinking about this over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You have like the 3 head coaches that kind of came, 2 that came off the Shanahan branch with McVay and LaFleur, and then Kyle Shanahan. It's so crazy to think about those 3 because LaFleur can't beat Shanahan. Shanahan can't beat McVay, and McVay can't beat LaFleur.
Weird.
It's just like
perfect
weird,
triangle.
like triangle. Yeah.
Perfect triangle.
It's so odd. Like I don't think LaFleur's lost to McVay.
Wow.
I think I saw a stat where he hasn't lost to McVay as a head coach. And I know that LaFleur has only beaten Shanahan like maybe once or twice in the regular season, but can't beat him in the postseason.
Yeah. And McVay just beat Shanahan.
Shanahan. Like he just beats up on Shanahan for no reason. Like he doesn't have a better team, although he might, because I don't know what the 49ers are doing at this point.
Hurt.
Yeah. I know they're hurt, but it was nice that Ayuk finally showed up.
Yeah.
For
finally.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the 49ers can't complain any more about injuries than the Rams can.
No.
I mean, who's Matthew Stafford throwing through? Throwing to. There we go.
Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell. Colby Parkinson.
Kyron Williams has been really good.
Kyron Williams has been really good.
He's been really good.
He's been great.
But you can definitely tell they miss their guys. They really miss.
Oh yeah, you need Puka and you need Cooper.
Yeah, for sure.
They're still fun. Arizona's another good team out there. Like they came back yesterday. I still love watching Kyler. Don't care what you think about him. He's just one of the funnest dudes to watch. It's a madhouse every play.
I don't know, there's something about him, man. He is fun to watch play. But watching him just scamper around all these like massive dudes,
and he's so fast,
it's just so quick, man.
Who are you talking about?
Kyler Murray.
Oh yeah.
I listen, and I know it's because he's shorter than everybody. I think he's like 5'11",
little man syndrome.
But he runs around like, remember the All-Star Baseball on the computer? They had the short midget guy that hit all the home runs. That's what he looks like to me, running around those bases. Like that's Kyler just runs around and it's like so fast, and it's funny because he's short and small compared to everybody else out there. But it's awesome because then he lets it rip, and you're like, that is an absolute bazooka on his arm.
Yeah.
On that right
shoulder.
As
a baseball player. I mean, he throws 90 plus miles an hour from the outfield.
You can see it in his throw. You're like, oh yeah, it looks a little different. It looks beautiful, but it looks different than most quarterbacks, and that's a little baseball feel to it. And you're like, oh my gosh, that velocity it's just cool. It's just a cool thing to watch. Love it. Not cool. Travis Kelce's hair.
No, not cool.
Yeah.
All right, last thing I want to kind of talk about, because I know we're going pretty long here. And we're not going to have time to get to MLB playoffs or Cats of the Knicks or Randy Moss almost becoming a Tennessee Volunteer. Maybe we'll save that for Thursday. I kind of want to go over because he mentioned like the best draft class was 1998, and I didn't really get a chance to dive into that, but I would like to dive into that and kind of actually examine that claim. We could say over the last couple of decades or whatnot. But Chase, I wanted to just ask you about your Titans coming out of the bye week. Where are you with them? Because I know Joseph and Miggy and I kind of talked about it, and at this point, I'm kind of in for a quarterback change coming out of the bye and saying like, hey, Mason Rudolph, can you be the guy? Because You don't turn the football over. Will Levis has done nothing but turn the football over and hurt your football team when you've got a damn good defense. So as a Titans guy, where are you when it comes to Titans coming out of the bye week? And I don't even know who they have coming out of the bye week. Let's see. Do you know it off the top of your head?
Colts.
Joe Flacco led Indianapolis Colts, which Joe Flacco should be the starting quarterback for the Colts, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it doesn't seem good.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know. Kind of felt the same way about AR the whole time he's been in the NFL. Like, he's going to look awesome. Like those big throws, it's occasionally great, not consistently good. That's who he is. Anyways, but it just like depends on how long term do you want to look at this, because if you go with Rudolph, I don't know if he's going to get you to 8 wins, but he's going to get you to like 5 or 6, and you're back in the lower middle of the NFL draft. Or do you just kind of see if Will Levis helps you work things out, and either he figures it out or you tank and you go find a new quarterback while you're trying to figure it out? I hate to say it, I think I'm in that boat. Like, let's let Levis either figure it out and have a franchise guy, or we either go find a new one.
Well, I just read that they are vowing to stick with him out of the bye.
Yeah.
Will Levis?
Yes.
And I think that's because this coaching staff is like, this is the best option to get rid of him. If that's never going to be said, but letting him play and letting him be terrible for the next probably 3 games, you're going to have, it's always tough against the Colts, at Bills, at Lions, then you get the Patriots, then you're at Chargers versus the Vikings, at Texans, at Commanders, at Jaguars versus the Bengals, at the Colts, at Jaguars, and then versus the Texans. That is not an easy run, friends. That is not an easy run, especially now that the Commanders and the Vikings are good. That's scary, man. And so you just let Levis keep ripping. And if it sucks, it sucks. And if he turns out to be good, awesome.
Mayo for everybody.
Or that's a situation where either, to be honest, I trust in this locker room a lot, is either Shador or Cam would be very good options for Tennessee. I think it's a good locker room, a good structure. In a lot of ways, we were just missing a quarterback and a few offensive linemen.
You did spend $228 million this offseason to upgrade the roster. So
yeah,
there's a lot of money invested in this team.
Yep.
And Rand Carthon has done what I thought is a pretty damn good job bringing in some really good pieces here. It really just comes down to the offensive line being better. And I think that's kind of affecting Will Levis as well.
Yep.
Because he's turnover prone. And we saw it at Kentucky. When he doesn't have a good offensive line, he's not a good quarterback. And that's the same thing's happening in the NFL. This was not the spot for him to be an NFL quarterback in Tennessee with a shoddy offensive line.
Yeah, and like you said, they added the pieces. They go out and add Ridley. Like you have a guy that you can get the ball quick to.
Yeah,
and he's not doing that well. They're not doing that well. And Callahan's probably, to me, I think there's some mishaps on his part. Like you've seen some play calling. It's like, I don't know if that's really fitting what we have, especially because you might think that this offensive line's a little better. And I do think these running backs have a chance to do a little bit more. I think you're going to have to be really creative. The Colts can get to you at times, so you got to be careful. I don't want to come out of this bye week and be lackadaisical, but Levis has got to step up, and if not, let's go find somebody new. I don't want to win 5 games, and I don't want to be honest as a fan, 100% honest. I don't want to go out there and either win 13 to 10 or something like that, or we lose 20-17 again, and that's like our best week of scoring. It's like that ball sucks. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah,
we saw it a lot with Vrabel.
Yeah,
you're scraping by, and it's crafty, and you're going to get a couple no turnover games and a couple rushing touchdowns. You're going to win 14-13. And you're like, oh, it's winning, but it sucks. I don't have that. I don't have that want anymore. I'll be honest. You have too many guys on the outside now to waste away. You have them on like a 2-year plan. So maybe you can hold on to Ridley one more year or add another wide receiver after next year after D-Hop goes. But if you go out and you suck, go get Cam Ward, go get Shador. Those guys will fit in well in a roster like Tennessee's where you have some veterans, some leadership. And I think like Nashville's a good place for guys like that. Like like if you're going to like the Giants,
You just gonna say New York. I knew it.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest, like
Shador in New York?
Cam or Shador, like
Well,
all that money, and you're on a bad team, it could be tough.
yeah, it could be tough.
Now
Could be
you're
tough.
gonna have a ball because you're gonna have league neighbors, but that
Yeah.
looks fun.
That's true. That's
That
true.
looks fun.
Well, I did want to throw this in there before we roll. Teron Davenport of ESPN, a reporter for the Titans on ESPN, he labeled 3 things that Will Levis needs to do better, moving forward out after the bye week. And I want to get your thoughts on it, both of you guys. Tell me if you agree or disagree with these. Number 1 was pre and post snap recognition.
Yeah.
Getting better,
Yes.
reading what the defense is doing, and understanding the coverages that they're playing, when a blitz is coming, where the soft spots in the zone are going to be, just different things like that, recognizing that. That's a big one. The other one was number 2, trying to do too much.
No way.
Shocker.
No way. Not Will Levis.
And number 3, it's going to take time.
It is going to take time. Yeah. It's going to take time, but take all the time. If you suck, see you. But if not, maybe you get time to figure it out. And maybe this is just an arranged marriage between Callahan and Levis. It's not worked out. Maybe you find love later on.
Let's hope so for your sake.
Let's hope so.
For sure.
This could be a long year. I will say, if they would have lost that Dolphins team, I was going to give up my fandom for a whole year. I was going to give up on this season because that's a bad Dolphins team. Terrible.
Yeah, that's tough.
Just terrible.
It's terrible. All right, boys.
All right. Follow us all over social media at Chat It Up Sports. Find us wherever you get your podcasts at Chat It Up Sports as well. Like, subscribe on YouTube, all the good things. And join us, comment on social media with little clips that we have, jump on our lives, all that good stuff. Comment. We love hearing from the folks, love hearing from you on anything that we do. And, after the fact, when you listen back to the podcast, I know it's a long one. Hopefully you're in the gym and you're listening to us and you're having a good old time, or you're at work and just throwing us on in the background, and maybe you're yelling at your computer and or your smartphone device, with anything that we had to say. But it's been fun. I'm glad we were able to do this on a Monday here from the UTC coach's office with the softball team. So shout out to them. They did get a win on Monday against Lee College. So that was good as well. And we'll be somewhere on Thursday.
Yeah.
Don't know where yet.
Somewhere.
But we will be somewhere. Peace and love, boys. It's always been good.
Always
Enjoy
a
it.
It's a pleasure.
Air Pounds.
Good time.
Pounds
All right,
around.
fellas. We're out of here. We'll catch you on Thursday. Peace.